I, a young man of 17, recently learned about a significant inheritance from my father. I inherited a trust with such a substantial sum that at first, I didn't even believe it. However, it turned out to be true. My father inherited significant funds not only from his parents, but also from two uncles. One of them was extremely successful in business. All the details were laid out in a letter my father left for me. He set up the trust even before gathering the majority of the funds. When it became clear that his illness was incurable, he decided to reserve these funds for me after paying all medical bills. My parents divorced many years ago, although officially, the marriage was not dissolved. When my father fell ill and passed away, they had not lived together for 10 years. My mother learned about the inheritance after reading the letter my father wrote to me about it. She insisted on meeting with a lawyer to discuss the inheritance. Once she realized the extent of the funds, money became the subject of lively discussions. I'm not allowed to manage this money until I turn 19, so I have time to think everything over. My mom and her current husband want me to share the inheritance with my stepbrothers and stepsisters. There are enough funds in the trust to pay for my college education and buy a house, and there will still be capital left after these expenses. The trust also generates interest as my father intended. My mom and her husband have long been experiencing financial difficulties. They met when his youngest child was only a year old. His wife died, and he was in legal battles with the mother of his older child, who was also undergoing therapy for injuries inflicted by his mother. His youngest child was born with health problems. Due to numerous doctor visits, finances have been severely limited. We live from paycheck to paycheck, and I try to work to make our lives more comfortable. Previously, we had no savings for college or anything else. My mom and her husband spent all the money on the family budget to keep a roof over our heads. I was told that this is an important reason why I should help. My mom argued that it was selfish of my father to leave all the funds solely for my future. She believed he should have cared more about our collective well-being. Mom told me that even though I don't call her husband father and his children my siblings, we are still family. She reminded me that we've been through a lot together and struggled for a long time. I was expected to show generosity when I could manage the money. Mom suggested setting up accounts for my 3 stepbrothers and stepsisters so they could have the opportunity to get an education. She argued that this would help them start their lives, much like how I was helped. Despite their persuasions, I refused. I said I wouldn't share the money. This angered my mom, but her reaction was nothing compared to the fury of her husband. They accused me of selfishness and called me an idiot for refusing to share the inheritance with the children of his late wife and his ex-wife. Note that none of these children are related to my mom. You're not an idiot. Your mom's new husband is angry at you for not giving money to his children. This money came from your father, who wasn't their father. These are your funds. Your father wanted them to go to you. You should explain to your mother that by trying to punish you, they are acting against the will of your late father. Your mom should also ask her new husband not to interfere. He's not your father. Please talk to your trust officer and don't involve your mom in this. Her husband's children are not your relatives. These are not the children your father wanted to leave his inheritance to. Most likely, he didn't even know about them. Your financial fortune doesn't have to extend to others. When you grow up, find a well-paying job and start earning more than they do. If you start writing them checks to make everything equal, it will be irrational. Your mom's husband is pushing her to such thoughts. In what strange world is she living? I'm sorry your mom is behaving this way. She should be happy for you, not acting against you. Her behavior seems appalling. You should follow your father's will and build your own future. It's not selfishness. Those were his funds. If your father gave you money to buy a gallon of milk and you bought an extra chocolate bar, he would probably be upset. Taking care of your children is a parent's duty. Your father took care of you. Next story. My daughter is 24 years old. She lives independently and has a job that provides her with a decent income. However, her expenses exceed her income. I have repeatedly advised her to cut down on spending and even offered to help develop a budget plan. She assured me that she was in control of the situation. Recently, my daughter called me, informing me of a $3,000 credit card debt. She was in a panic because she couldn't even make the minimum payment and asked me for financial assistance. I suggested reviewing her credit card transactions before making a decision about assistance. It turned out that most of the spending was not on essential needs. Purchases on Amazon, restaurant meals, clothing. I told her that I would not cover this debt as it arose from unjustified expenses. Additionally, she was planning a vacation that was clearly beyond her means. Instead, I offered to help her with budget planning. I warned that the next few months would be challenging, but it would help pay off the debt. This proposal caused her irritation and argument. She accused me of not wanting to help her. I reminded her that the problems arose from her own inability to manage finances rationally. Despite her accusations and anger, I stand firm. She needs to learn financial responsibility, even if it's painful. You're right, there's no need to blame yourself. Perhaps your daughter really needs to learn the lesson of financial responsibility through her own experience. In the long run, this may benefit her, although the journey will be tough. At the moment, she's behaving like a teenager despite being an adult. Credit card debt can become a serious problem, as you pointed out. You've already offered her help in budget planning. However, she apparently expects that you'll ultimately help her financially anyway. I would recommend not doing so until she herself decides to cancel the account and stop using the credit card. Sometimes, dependency on credit cards can be as destructive as addiction. Perhaps she needs time to realize this and act accordingly. If this is the lesson she needs, then so be it. I see no reason to help her now or in the future if she doesn't change her attitude and behavior. She must experience the consequences of her actions and learn from them. Now I want to tell a different story. I'm 27 years old and I'm a woman. My husband, Spencer, who is 28, has been married to me for the past 2 years. Although our journey together began 6 years ago, we don't have children. I've known Spencer since elementary school. We were in love from the start. However, his uncertainty is now undermining our relationship. He learned that I had another guy before him, and it deeply hurt him. In high school, I dated girls. However, the only man in my life before Spencer was Thomas, the 26-year-old cousin of my best friend Maeve. I had a brief relationship with him. After school, between the ages of 18 and 20, I dated a girl in college, but we broke up. Then Spencer came into my life, and we've been together ever since. Spencer knew that I dated girls in high school and college, but we never discussed the details of our past relationships. He himself was close to many girls in high school and college. Past relationships never bothered me. I'm not prone to jealousy. Spencer wasn't jealous either until recently. Recently, we visited friends, including Maeve and Spencer's best friend. Together, we spent time watching movies and talking. During the evening, the conversation turned to past relationships. Spencer shared with his best friend Ace how many girls had been in his life, mentioning that I had been with only one man, him. Maeve interjected and, laughing, clarified that it was the second man. Spencer was confused and asked me if it was true. I confirmed that Thomas was before him. After that conversation, Spencer became withdrawn. That evening, he barely interacted with anyone, spending more time on the phone. I tried to talk to him, but he either didn't respond or answered very briefly. As we were heading home, Spencer was irritated. He began reproaching me for allowing another guy to touch me. He was sure he was the only one in my life. I couldn't take it and started crying. I explained to him that we had never discussed our past and that everything happened before we met. He had been with another girl when I met Thomas. It was many years ago, and I didn't understand why he was so angry now. He continued saying nasty things to me. I was shaken by his words. In response, I just stayed silent. Then I went to our room and locked myself in. That night, he slept on the couch. The next day, he apologized, saying he was drunk. I forgave him, thinking we had dealt with the situation. However, he kept asking if Thomas was better during our romantic moments. It exhausted me. I asked him to stop asking such questions. He stopped, and it seemed like everything was back to normal. However, soon I received a message and screenshots from Thomas, whom I hadn't talked to in years. The screenshots showed my husband threatening Thomas. Thomas is now married and has children. I didn't understand what Spencer was trying to achieve with Thomas. I apologized to Thomas and told him I didn't know about what was happening. Thomas asked me to keep my husband in check and blocked me. I was furious and confronted Spencer. We had a big fight. I told him I want a divorce. He started crying and begged me not to leave, but I left and stayed with a friend. I'm tired of this situation. Spencer's friends harass me, calling me a slut and a liar. His family asked me to come back, but I can't do it. He's too upset about past events that had nothing to do with him years before we met. You're not an idiot. On the contrary, in this situation, your husband looks like a complete jerk. Yes, it seems this guy isn't emotionally stable, nor are his friends. Apparently, he saw you as some kind of trophy, akin to how a man wins a woman. This person definitely needs professional help. Take care of yourself and stay away from such people, otherwise, your life could turn into a real nightmare. How well do his friends really know the whole situation? I'm almost certain his explanation leaves a lot unsaid. For instance, he unreasonably started suspecting that you were with another man many years before you met and began calling you names, despite his own tumultuous past. I doubt they fully understand this story. Girl, I've been with a similar guy in the past. Believe me, this is just the beginning. Please, take care of yourself and completely remove him from your life. No matter how sweet and loving he may seem or how he behaves when drunk, there are still plenty of nights when he could come home drunk and say or do something that could harm you. You deserve much better. His behavior towards you was wrong, and his attitude towards others leaves much to be desired. Keep moving forward without looking back. My next story. At the age of 22, as a woman, I have always been characterized by a calm demeanor. It's important for me to maintain emotional balance, and I try to avoid unnecessary conflicts and drama. I've been in a relationship with Zach for 3 years now. His best friend Mia studied abroad, so their communication has always been through text messages and video calls. It never particularly bothered me because I also have male friends. Mia seemed indifferent during Zach's video calls when I was around. Frankly, she didn't interest me much either. However, Zach wanted us to be friends. In an attempt to connect, I messaged her because we listened to the same music. That was 3 years ago. She read the message but never replied, then blocked my number. I was surprised by such behavior, but I decided not to dwell on it and didn't tell Zach to avoid conflicts. I thought maybe she just didn't want to make new friends. When Mia returned to our city, Zach asked if she could stay at our apartment. I refused because I'm uncomfortable with strangers staying over. Apparently, Zach told her that the refusal came from me. Since then, Mia has started criticizing me. She judges my work, my hair, my clothes. Zach claims that Mia is just like that by nature and assures me that she's a fun and amusing person. She has repeatedly tried to provoke jealousy in me, mentioning, for example, that they went to a bar together as children. When I react calmly to such comments, she seems disappointed. But why should I be jealous when she's just one of Zach's pen pals? Always maintaining composure, I can't help but notice how Zach behaves with Mia. He never tells her that his behavior bothers me. Every time they have the opportunity, they hug. She can sit on his lap. They whisper to each other, sometimes leave together. I feel like at any moment I could come home and see her wearing his shirt. Frankly, I don't like it. The most unpleasant thing is that Zach enjoys seeing me jealous. When I share my feelings, he laughs and jokes. He doesn't take my feelings seriously, and it hurts. Mia is becoming more and more irritable and seems to be competing with me. She tries to provoke jealousy with silly things, like mentioning that she knows Zach's favorite sushi, and I don't. I replied, then buy sushi for everyone, I don't care. I've told Zach several times that his friend is behaving like an idiot. He responds that's just her nature, and I should just ignore her comments. However, honestly, I don't have the strength to endure her behavior. I told Zach that I'm planning to leave to give myself some time to think. I haven't left yet, so Zach came to my room. He said that I'm letting my doubts speak for me. He insisted that he feels nothing for Mia. I objected that I'm not doubting myself. I just want to protect my peace of mind and avoid drama. Zach got angry and said that I should fight for our relationship if I truly love him. He claimed that apathy is not the solution. However, I've always believed that if someone wants to change, they will, regardless of my opinion. I don't like drama and have always been indifferent to it. I can't stand drama and realize that Zach and Mia enjoy this complex situation. Zach means a lot to me, and our relationship has always been wonderful. However, my mental health is more important to me. I'm staying in the apartment because I've already paid the rent for this month. Zach couldn't find the money to pay his share. He promised to pay for the next month. I have no complaints against him about this. Perhaps he's facing financial difficulties. Also, I have to wait until my parents prepare my room at home. So for now, I'll have to leave my things here. You're not at fault. She doesn't respect you or your relationship. It's happening because he allows it to happen. Your problem isn't with Mia, it's with your boyfriend. Stick to your principles. He hasn't done anything to protect you. Instead, he stood up for her, even when she flirted with him and sat on his lap in front of you. Honestly, if they haven't started cheating yet, they probably will soon. You should leave now to protect yourself and your peace of mind. He loves attention. Don't reconsider. He likes that you're covering his rent. Why isn't he defending you if he really loves you? He really enjoys it when two girls fight over him. Maybe he even thought he could convince both of you to stay with him. Now that you're gone, his fantasy is seriously disrupted. I can't believe you won't defend me when other women flirt with me, he says. Essentially, you should never have to fight for your partner's respect or attention. If you're mature and he's not, it shows the difference in what you both want from the relationship. He wants drama, you don't.